Welcome to the Motherhood Alliance podcast, the podcast dedicated to empowering moms and families on their health and wellness journey. I'm Brittany Suttner.
And I'm Andrea Rinkus. Together, we're here to explore holistic approaches that go beyond conventional medicine.
Each week, we dive into topics that matter most to you. Everything from nutrition and mental health to alternative therapies and natural living.
And whether you're a new mom navigating the early stages of parenthood or a seasoned pro looking for new ways to support your family's well-being, you're in the right place.
Even better, all of our guests are local small business owners who you can actually talk to and work with. You can learn more about today's guest and connect with hundreds of other health and wellness professionals through our informative and easy-to-use directory at motherhoodalliance.com.
Before we get started, keep in mind that this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not a substitute for personal healthcare advice. Please consult your healthcare provider before making any changes based on the podcast content.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. Are you ready to help your family thrive? Let's get started. Hi, we are Britt and Drea from motherhoodalliance.com, and in this 4-episode series, we're excited to introduce you to Jennifer Philibeck and Mandy Rinne, the energetic and incredibly fun founders of Empowered Minds Kids Studio based out of Appleton. Empowered Minds Kids Studio was started in 2024 after Jen and Mandy, who had been teachers for over 35 years combined, started to recognize that kids needed more than what the classroom alone could provide. They witnessed firsthand that kids needed guidance in building resilience, confidence, and other essential life skills to truly thrive, and that realization led them to take a leap of faith, stepping outside the traditional classroom and into the world of kids' life coaching. Now, as certified kids' life coaches, they offer personalized, play-based coaching to children ages 4 to 13 with the mission to help kids navigate life's challenges with confidence, developing resilience, positive self-esteem, and a strong foundation for lifelong success. Jen and Mandy are also moms who know firsthand that parenting is really hard, and that's why they believe in walking alongside families, offering compassionate support, and just figuring it all out together. As a listener, you're going to gain so many helpful parenting nuggets, or Tic Tacs, as you hear in one of our episodes, from these two ladies. So grab a notepad and pen, and let's jump into today's conversation.
Hey, welcome back to the Motherhood Alliance podcast. We're back here with Jen and Mandy, and we are really excited to be talking about this topic today about the digital age. We are in technology, right? It's not going anywhere. It's here to stay, and we're going to kind of dive into this a little bit and how it affects our kids. So we're excited to talk about that today. So we know that technology, like I said, is not going anywhere. We have it in our pockets. Our kids are seeing this. I mean, AI is getting more and more prominent. My 11-year-old is loving it. I mean, I'm loving it, but I'm also freaking out about it a little bit too, right? So obviously it's changed a lot since we were kids, a lot. And so I guess what are some of the major challenges that you guys see that technology is affecting kids, how parents have to face technology today?
Yeah. So different from when we were kids, when we had dial-up internet.
Yeah. I didn't get a cell phone until I was 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what we're seeing now is that kids, it's so readily accessible and it's in their face and it's all that they know, truly. So like, their brain development is being impacted because they're not having those same experiences that, we did, because they're having that screen in front of them that's developing them at a different capacity for sure. And also like those social skills are just not there as much, like the being able to communicate, to be able to understand like what's going on inside of them because they are kind of plugged in.
They're inundated with technology. It's like on their body, right? On their watch, on their phone, on a tablet, or mom's phone or dad's phone. It's always, it's like an extension of our bodies.
Right. We feel like our attention span is struggling right now, right? As adults, I know myself, like I feel like, gosh, I can't focus. Like I'm so distracted all the time. But if we think about it, like I'm getting a ding, I'm getting a vibrate, I'm like getting this email, like my attention, I can't focus on one thing because there's so many, buzzes coming from all around me. So when we notice that kids are having a difficult time in the classroom or at home, being able to attend and focus and have that train of thought, it might be because they're also getting inundated with all of the stimuli that's coming at them.
So how does that actually like affect our brain? Like you're talking about, if a kiddo is in the classroom, they may not have a smartwatch, but maybe they watch a lot of TV at home, or they do their iPad, or they do this. So they're not getting a ding as much as adults do, but you're saying this actually affects the way our brain works. How is technology actually affecting our brain?
It's that instant gratification piece. So there's a dopamine. The dopamine chemical is released, and that's a quick feel-good chemical. So kids that are spending a lot of time in front of a screen, right? The colors that developers use, the sounds, all of those things play a part in that. And then as they're using that technology, right, that dopamine release is like, yes, give me more, give me more, give me more. They get to the classroom, or you ask them to do something at home, and there's nothing because you are not colorful, you are not exciting as all of those things that they have been spending probably way too much time on a screen.
What are your opinions on technology in the classroom? And the reason I ask that is because I think a lot of schools have computers for every single kid, laptops that go home with them. That's really tricky to me. And my kids don't go to a school where that applies to them yet. They're still young enough. So it's not something we've had to fight. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Can I say we've had to fight it?
Oh.
So my son has a Google iPad, not iPad, but a computer, right, that he uses for school. And he does bring it home. He does have a little work to do, but then he could screw around on that thing. And the problem is like, I don't have much control as far as parental, time limits, like on an iPad or something. You can put it in and I can give it to him. I know he's done in 15 minutes. It shuts off. Whereas this is not. So it's more of me having to take more, as a parent, I need to be more on top of it. And it's harder.
Yeah, because also he's on there and he's enjoying it. It's making him feel good. He's getting that dopamine. And then it's like, hey, buddy, 5 more minutes. Okay, 2 more minutes. All right, time's up. And then the lid flips and it's the meltdown and it's the tantrum of, no, I want to look a little bit more. Or, I'm in the middle of a video, or I'm in the middle of this game. And then having to have that battle and that struggle, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and for my kids, actually, they're pretty good about when I say it's time to be done. They're like, okay, because they know I'll take it away. Like, I'm not messing around.
But it's that follow through. That's good.
The problem is I know that it's still their brains. It's not good. I know it with the attitudes after. I can see it. It happens.
That and the addiction,
Exactly.
of just constantly asking, can I watch a show? Can I do a game? Can I be on my iPad? Can I watch a show? And it's like,
You're an expert at saying that over and over. You sounded just like.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because my son, so we don't have iPads in our house. When we go on car rides, I'll let them to listen to podcasts. And I'm not fully anti-TV. I'm not perfect at this. My kids do watch shows,
right?
But I am pretty locked down and passionate about this topic. And so we do have a lot of free play. And my son loves to read books now, which I'm very thankful for. But even the other day, he went to bed. He came down 10 minutes later. I'm bored and I can't fall asleep. I'm like, sometimes it's good to just be silent. Sometimes it's good to just let your brain think about things that happened to you today that you liked, that you didn't like, things that you can, apply tomorrow. What do you want to do tomorrow? Just think about your sports teams. Think about soccer coming up. Think about what you want to do in the summer. Just think. And I feel like adults, for sure, like you were saying, Jen, we have lost this skill. We don't know how to be still anymore.
Just think about when we go to the gas station. You go to pump your gas. What's the first thing that you do? You grab out your phone. Mm-hmm. I have a couple minutes while I'm pumping gas. I'm going to just scroll mindlessly. Or at a stoplight, heaven forbid, we actually pay attention to driving. How often do you get to a stoplight and you look next to you and everybody's on their phone? We don't even know how to spend a moment of peace just with ourselves. We have to occupy it with our phone, and our kids are seeing that.
Yeah. So obviously we've identified a problem, right? A problem for parents, a problem for kids. There are benefits to technology, but there are a lot of cons as well. So with our kids, this is hard because we're talking toddlers, we're talking school age, we're talking high school. These are all going to look different. But what can we do as parents to foster a healthy relationship with technology in our homes?
Boundaries.
Okay,
right?
So what does that look like?
There has to be zones in the house that are technology free, right? The dinner table should definitely be one of them. No phones at the dinner table, no tablets at the dinner table, no eating with a screen in front of you. We've heard family after family after family. And I myself, I know the little ones, like you can get them to eat a lot better when they're watching a show. It is so much more peaceful. However, what are we teaching them? That they don't have the skills to be able to eat on their own without being distracted with a screen. So that becomes part of what they know.
Becomes a habit.
Right.
That's
And
what they
then-
start to know.
And then it's a slippery slope, right? So having zones in your house where technology is not a place, the bedroom,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
The bedroom, the TV, the dinner table, those two easy spots. Well, not really easy, but you know.
Well,
Mhm.
also the point too is you should be having family dinners. I mean, that might be a whole nother topic too, but a lot of families are so busy they might not even sit down and have those family dinners together. Oh, Mandy's like, I have a tangent to go on about that.
Well, it has been kind of eye-opening, I think, to me now as a kid's life coach to know that there are families that don't eat together ever. So, starting simple, we have to, that social piece, right? I think technology has replaced so much of that communication and so much of that social interaction. So setting a time aside, you're saying screen-free zones, but also let's have times throughout the day. Maybe it's not dinner. Maybe it's
the car.
Maybe it's the car. Maybe it's breakfast. That you are having a conversation. So they know how to
do it.
Conversate with people.
Well, it's funny you say that because I had my first real jaw-dropping moment last year. So my kids right now are almost 7 and 9. And so they don't have phones, they're still innocent and young and stuff. But we went to, just for fun one weekend, we went to a high school basketball game, something to do. We went and, I'm thinking back to my days of being on court side and cheering our teams on. And it became halftime. You look over by the student section. They are not high-fiving and cheering and talking and talking with their friends. Literally 90% of them were staring down at their phones. And my jaw, as literally as it could happen from a human structure, I felt like I had to pick it up off the floor. I was like, what is this? Because those were such fond memories for our generation of being with your friends and celebrating something and just you have independence at
Messing
that
around
age.
and
Messing
talking
around.
and yeah.
Yeah. And just,
Mhm.
I looked over and I was like, no, how can I, someday my kids are going to have phones. How can I teach them now to respect technology on their own? Because it's like candy. Right now, you put candy in front of my kids, and as much as I try and educate them about food dyes and sugar and what it does to our bodies, they're like, give me the candy. They don't care. I'm like, someday when you're 35, you're going to thank me. But
They're not there yet.
no, but technology is in our face. So that was a moment when, for sure, what you were just saying, I'm like, this is really affecting our older teens. And what are you guys seeing when it comes to social media?
Yeah. Well, and a lot of the kiddos that we are coaching aren't old enough necessarily where they're on social media so much. Some of the older ones maybe are a little bit more. But I mean, I don't know if you guys have read the book.
Anxious Generation.
I have it. I need to read it.
It's so good.
Mhm.
It's so good. But I mean, it just really goes to show that social media and that, viewing ourselves through the lens of what we think others are viewing us as, it's not helping our confidence.
Oh, yeah.
It's sort of like the Pinterest thing you were talking about in one of the last
Yeah.
episodes, right?
Yeah.
That we see that and we think yes, we have to do that because otherwise we're not good enough.
Mm-hmm. And at the same time, I was just reading about this in my Bible study this morning, is why are we posting on social media?
Right. Validation.
It's to get the kudos.
Yeah. Validate what we did because we
Right.
need that from other people. What about ourselves, right? Validate yourself.
And then when you don't get, whatever goal you have in your head of 50 likes, now all of a sudden you're like, why? What's wrong with me? I could see how teenagers are really spiraling because of this. But like you guys said, you're working with more of the younger ages. And so how are you integrating this type of talk into your coaching, whether it's with kids or with parents?
We talk a lot about what technology does to their brain, what it looks like, what those chemicals that are being released in their brain are. And then we always tell families, we should be screen-free 30 minutes before bed. Here are some things that you could do. Read together. We have mind vacations. So that relaxing, it's a meditation, it's that visualization, which calms their bodies, but also it's teaching them a regulation strategy as they get older.
To be still. Mm-hmm.
Right? Before I came here, I'm in the car and I was all like doing some, mind vacationing about just relaxing myself so that I was not as nervous. So it's a skill for life, but also to cut down on that technology because your brain just keeps going at nighttime, right?
Right.
Well, and we could also, we could delve into like blue light and how
Yes,
that
all
affects
of
your
those
brain.
health effects.
That's a whole nother thing too. It's just so much.
Well, and a lot of times we hear from families like from the parents, like, I need to make dinner or I have to do this and I'm so busy or like like the things that they need to do. And so it's easier. We're moms, we know.
Yeah.
It's easier to say, sure, go watch a show, go on your tablet. That's okay. But then they're like reining it back in after. Is it worth it? Oh, it's that battle then. And thankfully, some families don't have that battle.
But still, no, it's like, oh yeah, you can go watch your show for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then 20 minutes later.
Yeah.
And then 30 minutes later because
you got caught up in what you were doing.
I got caught up in it and I love the silence. They are fine. They are not going to complain. And then it's, 40 minutes later and you're like, oh shoot, get off the TV.
Yeah.
And now you're yelling and whatever. It's just, it's not good.
It's a vicious cycle.
Yeah. And that makes me think about how with like my kids, we don't do screens on school nights at all. We don't watch movies together. We save movie nights, special movie nights for weekends if we can, things like that. Because I'm like, as soon as I have one day that I say yes right after school, they're going to be asking every day.
Over and over.
These habits build quickly. Yeah. So what are your personal philosophies on screen time as parents? Because Jen, your kids are a little bit younger than Mandy, so you kind of have a little bit different age groups here. What are your personal philosophies on how you handle screens in your own homes?
Okay. So I used to have tablets. The kids had those little like Amazon, little Fire tablets or whatever. And then it just became a battle, like the constant asking. They would have it for like quiet time, and then it would be just a battle to rein it back in or to take it away. And so we said, okay, it's only for car rides when we go to grandma's, because grandma's is 2-hour drive.
And your kids are 4 and 6?
4 and soon to be 6.
Okay.
Yeah. So I decided that it just wasn't working. And then so we took it out of the house completely.
How did that go?
Shockingly, fine. Like I anticipated that there would be a battle. I put them away. Like I put them above my closet. They can't see them, out of sight. They don't ever ask. They have not asked for them once. So then it was like, okay, we'll bring them out for the car rides. And I started thinking, they should be looking at the scenery. We should be having conversation.
Reading books.
Yeah. Why am I bringing you out for the car rides? So now we don't bring them out for that either. And it just has become a new habit, a new pattern. And they were using them pretty consistently before. And we stopped. And it has been really wonderful. We do, as far as like shows go, they can have a show after school and then TV's off. So it's finding that balance.
How about you, Mandy? And your kid, share with us how old your kids are first.
Yeah, so I have a 10 and almost 14-year-old. And I will say I'm not the norm. So Olivia does not have a phone. Our rule is that once she goes to high school, so next year she will get a phone. She does have a device that, she is very monitored on, but she loves things like Canva and artistic things. So she's using it for a purpose other than scrolling. She does not have any social media. My son does not have any technology. He was very addicted to video games this last summer. We had some big, huge struggles. I did a lot of learning. He also sees Coach Jen. And he has worked really hard, so much so that he notices, like, hey, that wasn't for me. That was, now that he's out of it and has reflected on it, right? He's certain types of video games, right? Anything with violence made his brain go crazy, right? So he wasn't himself afterwards. So he doesn't play that anymore, right? He plays sports games or he plays Wii, down in the basement, and they do bowling. But it's very limited. I mean, I would say maybe, like once on the weekend he'll play. There's time limits. We've always had limits on screen time because I know that it's not good, right? The longer that they're on it, the harder it is to break that habit and the more emotions that we see. So
if a parent is listening to this and they're like, you know what, I want to rein it back a little bit, like you had said, Jen, your kids were pretty young when you were doing this, so I liked to think that they didn't have as much of a fight because of their age. Because if you have some kids that are a little bit older that are heavily addicted to their iPads, they're gonna know.
They're gonna buck
yeah,
it.
you can. What
take
tips do you guys have for families that are like, we want to rein it back, but we know it's going to be a battle because there is some addiction there?
Yeah, I actually have a family that I am coaching, and the screen time use was, like, I would say above and beyond. They knew it was above and beyond. It was like 7+ hours a day. In the summertime, it was even more. So they knew that there needed to be a shift. So we came up with a schedule of like, okay, we're not going to go to like 30 minutes, right? That's unrealistic. So we had to like, okay, 3 hours, hour and a half in the morning, hour and a half in the evening. How can we bring it back a little bit by little bit by little bit? But having a schedule and having like very clear expectations and timelines for the kids. So they're not asking all throughout the day, like, you've got a schedule, you've got it posted, like, this is the time that's okay. And after that time, like, it's not an option. The answer will be no. And so with this family, it was the 5 more minutes, Mom, 10 more minutes. No, I'm in the middle of this game. So Mom had to like really, I told her, I said, you got to put your big girl pants on. You can do this. When the time is up, if they choose not to, turn it off, then you have to hold the expectation that they won't have it the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And that is hard because then you're anticipating, what struggle there might be, but like being consistent, now they don't have that challenge.
Okay, but then I also think about now kids have time that they used to fill with screens, that now it goes back to our other conversations. How do they relearn how to play?
That is absolutely a challenge because, right, they found that like they did not know what their interests were. They didn't know how to be independent at all or how to entertain themselves or occupy their time. We came up with lists. What are things that give you joy? What are things that you like doing? I went to their home. I went through their house, pulled out games. We made a basket of like, this is going to be your like screen-free time bin that you go to when you get home from school before the tablet comes on. You're going to go to this bin and it has like, your favorite books, your Legos, your puzzles, your scrapbooking, whatever it might be to fill. Because sometimes it's like the options are endless. They've got a playroom full of toys, but then they don't know how to direct themselves or what to start. So having like a checklist or having those things in one central location could be helpful.
Do you have any resources for families who are struggling with the peer pressure from outside sources? So this might be a little bit, like Mandy, your kids' ages, where they're saying everybody has a phone, but this person, they always get to watch a show after school. These people are always talking about movies and I haven't seen any of them. Like, how do we as parents manage that peer pressure, not only from the kids, but then like kind of the guilt that we feel because they're missing out on everything that's cool?
Finding, I think, the parents, right, that believe the same as you and banding together. That book, Anxious Generation, talks about that. There's also kind of a pledge that goes around. I know in some schools that's like wait till 8th or something.
Yeah,
there's
actually a Facebook group. Look it up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. Because in that book, it says like by like withdrawing them from social media or from technology, whatever it might not be like the greatest idea because then there's like that social withdrawal because all of their friends are on this and all that. So finding other families and other people who think like you and then kind of creating like a group together so that they still can have like social meetups. Like, yeah, Friday night, I'm going to give you $20 and you and your friends can go get pizza or whatever it might be. Like encouraging those real opportunities for connection, instead of.
Right. And then they have the no excuse, like, well, everybody's doing it. No, your friends, there are friends that are not, Mm-hmm.
Well, this is not a battle that's ending today, is it? I mean, this is going to be, who knows where technology is going to be even in the next 10 years.
I was going to say too, I feel like this is new. I mean, really within the last 20 years, because we never had this when we were kids. There is not really an understanding of what is happening with these kids' brains in 20, 30, 40 years. It's just
But even just looking
crazy.
at the statistics of anxiety
Yeah.
and depression and
I mean,
suicide,
it's not gonna get
there has to
better.
be a correlation here.
There's absolutely a
Yeah.
correlation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, before we wrap up, we had 4 amazing episodes together. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us and just giving us so many ways that we can improve our own homes and raise these awesome, strong, confident kids. If you could give one final piece of advice to parents about raising capable, independent kids, what would it be?
Know that you are not alone. And every time that you open yourself to growth as a parent, you are absolutely helping your kiddo model the way.
Awesome. I love that. Can you tell us a little bit about what types of kids are you seeing, or like who are your programs for?
Our programs are for all kids. We say there isn't a single kid that wouldn't benefit from some play-based coaching that, they're getting life skills at. We see all kinds of kiddos. Jen and I are not label gals. We don't believe in labeling kiddos, but we do see kids with all
Diagnoses and
all
labels.
needs.
We tell them though, like we leave those at the door. So, that's not going to impact our coaching approach or our mindset of how our expectations for them, like we don't have those limiting beliefs in us. So, but we think that this is a beautiful approach for like that preventative piece. So it's kind of like an insurance policy. You hope nothing goes wrong. You hope like you don't need to ever have to use it. However, knowing that peace of mind that you have, that insurance policy kind of gives you that peace. So with our kids, knowing that they're going to face challenges in life, there's going to be struggles that they encounter, knowing that they have the skills and the tools already within them, they have that foundational learning. What a great peace of mind as a parent.
Yeah, it's an investment.
Truly.
Coaching services are an investment. Yeah.
Are your services covered by insurance?
So family, it is not covered by insurance, just like a blanket insurance, like insurance unfortunately doesn't recognize coaching as a medically necessary need. But however, families can use, if they have HSA or FSA funds, they can use those. Also, if families are part of the CLTS waiver program, they can reach out to their case service coordinator and be able to utilize their services that way.
Awesome. This is so great. I love what you guys do. And I especially love that you don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk. Like you guys are fun. And even in our first episode, we talked about your coffee club and that you do on Fridays. You guys are awesome. And we just so much appreciate everything you're doing for our families in Northeast Wisconsin.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, would you consider leaving a rating or review or sharing it directly with a friend who could benefit from the information? We know that you're a busy mom or caregiver, and our goal is to make your life easier by bringing tips and tricks directly from experts into your earbuds. By sharing this episode with someone you love, you can play a critical role in helping to make their life easier as well. We appreciate your time and thank you for being a part of the Motherhood Alliance family.